city, they limit your water intake or how much water you can use.
Definitely.
How do people maintain their lawns then?
It's impossible. With the rules they have, you cannot. It's no way to do it. Even
Right.
though that you water, they give you like water the whole day,
Uh-huh.
but only limited hours. So you can't. Literally, you can't. If you
Right.
follow the restrictions they have, most of the people can't keep it up.
All right, Robert, how you doing, man?
Doing good, doing good.
That's good. That's good. All right. Well, thank you for doing this. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for
All
inviting me.
Sure. You've never done anything like this before, right?
Never have.
First time on camera? All right. We'll take it completely easy on you.
Alright.
But you are the owner of Brothers Co. Landscaping,
Yes, sir.
and you service the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
All right. So, I think a lot of people will be interested in this because, you have a lot of expertise. I know you helped me because when we first met you, my back lawn was just pot marks everywhere,
Yeah,
and now it's completely full, right? And you always told me it was just because we don't water enough, right? So.
Yeah, I was kind of embarrassed to tell you that, but that was the thing. So.
But the city, they limit your water intake or how much water you can use.
Definitely.
How do people maintain their lawns then?
It's impossible. With the rules they have, you cannot. It's no way to do it. Even
Right.
though that you water, they give you like water the whole day,
Uh-huh.
but only limited hours. So you can't. Literally, you can't. If you
Right.
follow the restrictions they have, most of the people can't keep it up. Nice.
Will it be halfway alive or will it completely die eventually?
Well, kind of like it was when we started it, though. It was going to get a lot of damage
Uh-huh.
through the summer, and then it tries to bounce back on the fall rush, we call it,
Right.
and then it's still stressed out. Grass just definitely will collapse if it's like a dry, like freeze that is hard enough, hard freeze they call it. So yeah, definitely that's it's the problem. Even now, that's what we're doing right now, replacing a lot of stuff
Right.
that dies over people getting their stuff freeze or it was already stressed out or sick, if you want to call it.
Right.
So once the freeze come, the plant just collapses. It's like us, they got their system is not enough water. They're not healthy. They're grass or plants, if you want to call it, and
Right.
they just collapse. That's exactly what happens. St. Augustine usually does that when it's already struggling, and then it gets a hard freeze. Just don't do good. Some of the palisade Xeon or some of those zoysias.
So around Dallas, what is the water restriction exactly?
Pretty much everywhere now.
So
Even
how much can you water?
you can only water 2 times. Most of the cities 2 times a week. I guess like your trash day and the off day.
Right.
And
And
then
for how long are they saying?
they really don't. They give you the hours. Like gotta be before 10
Mhm.
and after 7 p.m.
Okay.
So from that point over, it's no limitations. But you can only water so much before the water starts running off.
Right.
So between waterings, the ground is so hard that you got to do it like in small portions, to be more clear.
Mhm.
I want to use words that people understand. So if you do it in small portions, this kind of loose out the soil. But how many times there's people that have like a really good irrigation systems that you can do more than 1, 2, 3 programs. Most of the people have like years. Only has three start times, 2, 3. I think years 2, 3 programs.
So if it's too hard and if you water it too long,
It just runs
off.
off. Yeah,
So
it runs
doesn't
off.
even soak
The
in.
first 10 minutes will be running off until it just sucks in.
Oh wow.
So especially that's exactly what happens. That's why you see like Dallas or any of the cities, that are watering day in the neighborhood. You see watering like rivers because just people most of the people don't know. And then you call the people from the city, and then some people in the city go look at this. But most of the people that on the city, there are no irrigators. They just like water utility people.
So do you think the city does this because they don't know any better, or they know it's gonna die?
But they gotta know. The only thing is whoever is in charge of the restrictions. I don't think they are landscapers. If you want to go,
Or they don't care. They
I
just
don't
care
think
about the water.
they are landscapers. They just don't know.
Okay.
And so they got to take care of the water. But there's years like last year or this year, if they put restrictions, we are already 36 inches above
Right. We've been kind of lucky so far this year.
So this no, even last year wasn't as, it was dry, but it wasn't as dry as the years before.
Right.
So I don't know how that works. I've never been in one of those meetings. I worked for the city of Mesquite a long time ago, but I was in the parks department. I was nothing nearby that. They didn't have those water restrictions back then. I don't think.
Right.
But now it's just most of the people don't know. A lot of people, especially the senior citizens, they don't know. And then you encounter people has to spend thousands of dollars worth of damages.
Because they have
like you spend some money at starting with,
right.
and you shouldn't. You shouldn't spend $2,000 on grass when you can spend $2,000 on a quick weekend vacations in Cancun.
Right.
That's what I always tell people. No, for real. It's just, even though that I want to make the money, but I like to make the money when it's necessary.
But if I water too much, then I'll get a little notice.
You will get it, definitely.
Yeah.
So you are, like we will say out there, you will have to roll the dice. Literally gamble if they're going to catch up to you or not. Maybe you will, maybe they don't. And a lot of people get caught, and then they have to just cut it back. And then you will have to take another measures, like, as many star times, we call it, on the box, on the irrigation box. Okay. It's possible. It's you only hope, and then hope for the best, and pray for rain.
Right.
Literally in the summer,
the summer is gonna be horrible.
If it will be again like it was last year, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
Last year was, I think we broke records or near to broke another record or whatever it says.
Right. It's tough. So let's turn the time clock back and let's get to know you. So tell us where you're from, where you grew up, and then we'll get into how you started the company. Yeah.
Well, I was born in Mexico City.
Okay.
45 years ago.
Okay.
So I was born in Mexico City. My parents being always immigrants. So my dad was at one point. He had a job okay over there, and he retired to live in a smaller town. But I guess things in a smaller town doesn't work as well. So he started, migrating like everybody else. Back in the time when they used to come work out the fields, up north, Oregon, Washington State. So, and then my mom followed him along. And but when I was 15, we had the opportunity to come. My dad started working, through the amnesty he got his green card, if you want to call it. And then he started working or way in for us. And then I came here when I was like 15.
Okay.
Never went to school.
You didn't go to school when you
No, not at all. Didn't complete my education over there or here. And that's when it comes really crazy though, because I read a little bit about it. If my grammar in Spanish is not full on or either in English. So both are like halfway done. Even though that I read a lot and I try to better myself, because I got licenses for irrigation. I got license for a TDA license. I went to a few Texas A&M trainings and stuff, passes all these tests and stuff. But when I'm writing, I forget things because I was writing, it never developed quite all the way full. So I came, I was 15 and started working. My dad did a little bit, most of his life he did some landscaping, but he did it for a rich man, a really good family, the Westcott's family.
So you helped your dad?
Well, he took me, kind of, but when you're at that age, you really realize you want to make your own money. So he worked there for that was his job, 8 to 5 type of thing. Mm-hmm. And, I started doing it on my own, like working places, work all kinds of jobs, and then ended up doing the lawncare for a company. And I don't know, one thing leading to another. I've worked for the city of Mesquite, also helped me a lot because he was like going to school for me because they took me and sent me to get all the training that I had.
So how old were you when you got to the city?
I got married when I was 18. I got a 26-year-old daughter.
Okay.
And then I had to start getting a real good job with the insurance. So my wife then, she wanted me to get insurance. So I started working for the city of Mesquite when I was 20. And then that was the only, back then it was like a tough time. So it was hard to find a job. That was the only one that came through. I applied, came through. I was desperate.
What was the job for?
It was ground maintenance, literally the lowest position coming in, but I needed it.
Yeah.
I was doing carpentry. I was doing like every other guy that doesn't go to school did. Find me jobs here and there. I did fences. I did all kinds of stuff, and I did some lawn care on the midst of it too. So once I found that job, it was kind of low paid, but it was kind of secure. It was no more jumping around or getting called that, hey, we don't have nothing for today.
Right.
So I started working there because I had my daughter, and I hated it at the beginning though because it wasn't enough money, but didn't know it was going to help me in the future.
Right.
So I met one of my supervisors, a really good man, helped me. His name is John Carswell. That we still do business to this day. Started sending me. I don't know if he saw potential. I don't know. He just started sending me to these trainings and encouraged me to get my licenses because the city was paying for them.
What kind of training and licenses?
Well, one of the trainings were like arboristry, like trim trees and climb rope thing. And
so there's schools for this?
Well, there's trainings for it. This. Career to be a certified landscaper, really, I don't think is one. You can get like an agricultural degree on ornamentals. I'm sorry, and that's what it takes you or become a landscape architect. But that doesn't mean that the grounds.
Right.
You can just design. Yeah. Which you can now do with an app. That's what I do.
Sure.
I use the app and I can design whatever 3D.
Right.
But back then was trainings where they literally teach you how to do the things from the bottom all the way up. What to use, how to climb a tree, how to tie a knot on the landscaping part, which plants are for what, what for shade, sun, names of plants. And he was the one. Really, I didn't want to do it. I was 21. I needed money.
Right.
But he pushed me all the time. And then, I kind of listened, I guess. I respect him a lot, though, because he knew a lot. So I like it that he knew a lot. And he was, at the moment, he became a supervisor for the city of Mesquite on Parks Department.
Yeah.
And he knew every single plant. And I thought it was cool. I mean, I was young. I thought it was cool. I knew the scientific name of them and the grasses and stuff. And I started getting interested in stuff, and I started learning more, reading on my own. Back then was dial-up, so it was no internet. So it was literally, he would have handed me a book. Texas Plants was the first one he gave me. And I started reading and learning the names of it, and I started liking it. I don't think I was going to make a career out of this. I just wanted to kind of cross the bump. I needed money and maybe find something else. Yeah. Since it took me so long to get a job that time, like 2, 3, 4 months, I gotta say it. I promised God I would never quit a job just because I didn't feel like it. So I kept my promise, and I kept working there, one thing. 12 years later, then I was like new enough, and then I started.
You were at Mesquite for 12 years.
For 12 years, yeah. And I just stayed there for 12 years. But all this time I was learning. I know how to use every single piece of equipment, from a small tractor to a back wing, those big ones that you see mowing the freeways. Plants, landscaping, everything. So I learned.
What kind of certifications did you get?
Well, I went and got the licenses that you need really to buy, like pesticides and stuff like that, and the irrigation part of it. And then I went and got trainings for classes that will give you a little certification where they teach you all about certain type of plants, like for shade, and then they give you all this knowledge. If you can sit there and don't do nothing. Kind of when you go to college or university, you can do whatever you want. So, but when I was there, it was interesting because apparently the city gets some type of budget. Somebody has to go and take it, and I was the only one that said yes. So John again, he would have sent me. And
so nobody else went with you? No,
really, because except for the CEUs. Well, after we got our licenses, we got to take CEUs to keep. Those are to keep you updated with all the laws and regulations and some of the chemicals that are coming new in plants and things like that. So they also teach you a lot. Usually those happen on Texas A&M. So it's like a whole day class. It's a good one. A lot of people don't care. So most of the people was doing like what people do: sit down, drink coffee, fall asleep, and stuff like that. But I really got interested in it. I started taking notes and more and more and more. And then he quit, and then that stopped. But by then, I already acquired enough knowledge of all these things. So I was now searching on my own. Internet came through, and I started Googling stuff, finding more stuff around. And then I was in necessity of money. Somebody called me if I could go spray some weeds. So I had the knowledge, I had everything. I said, okay, I'll help you out.
Just somebody out of the blue?
Just out of the blue.
How did they find you? Do you know?
It was a friend. It was literally a friend. He was working. His manager asked him like, I got problems with weeds, literally. And then I don't know nobody to help me. You know, I don't want to pay a fortune, or I think she hired a company. They came and did a really bad job, or didn't kill anything. So, you know, this guy was a member of the church I used to go. We were talking. I was like, because you think you can help her? I was like, yeah, it's where she lives. Back then, it was too far to go to Albury. Back then, now I go every day. Right. So he said, I was like, can you help her? I was like, man, it's too far. I mean, I got to make more than the gas money. He goes, how much you think? Back then, I think it was like $50. To me, it was enough. So I went over there. When I was there, she was like, do you know anybody that can clean up this landscaping bed? It was brand new homes that were building over there. And I was like, I can help you next weekend if you want. So I didn't have nothing to do. They have caught my overtime on the weekends, because when you change on the city of Mesquite, once you change to a higher position, there were no overtime for those positions. Salary, right? Yeah, well, no, really, it was by hours, but it was one of the highest. The next one was to be a supervisor. Okay. So they go like, and that was my plan, to become a supervisor. And I was at the highest one, and it was just a matter of time somebody quit, and then me applying, trying to see if they qualify me for it. In the meantime, so I have to make ends meet, because I was doing a lot of overtime until I got that position. So I was sure about $200 a month. Yep. So I had to give that money, and then once I got the money, got the money working around. That was like an idea. When she told me that, I was like, okay, 50 here and $100 for the big old cleanup. I was like, wow, I'm gonna be set this month at least. That's what I thought. And then we went for it. I went for it, and then when I was there, the next door lady came out, literally, and she told me like, can you clean mine? So I was like, okay, next weekend. Cool. And then that's how it started. And then both of them called me, like they talked to each other. Can you maintain this? I was like, it was too far.
What city was it again?
This is in Avery, Avery, Texas, which is
Aubrey.
Aubrey, Texas, which is now, it's called Savannah.
Okay.
Literally Savannah, Texas. They call it that little town. And 380 and 423.
And right. You're in Richardson.
I'm in Richardson.
So
then I live here before. I live after I got divorced. Mm-hmm. So I was like right in the middle for Mesquite, so it was fine. But then it was too much of a drive, but they called me while I was still there in the neighborhood. So I don't even remember when I made cards, but I'll remember that I had like business cards. Okay. So I went around, walking around, and then I just put a couple cards.
What was the name of your company?
It was,
or just your name?
I think it was Brother Landscaping, or Brothers with S. Okay. And they had my phone number, which I had like for 20 years. So and just dropped the cards. Like there were only like, I don't know, maybe like 30 houses in the entire.
So you just stuck on the door.
So I went to those 30 houses, walk over well around, and start one card. And I was making my numbers. Said, okay, if 3 calls me is enough. Yep. Or 2 more. I mean, those 2 people and 2 more. Yep. And then I make the count. I was like, even if 1 calls me, I know I'll pick up the next one. Mm-hmm. Sure enough, by the time I was leaving the town, she called me, turn around, look at the property, I give her the price, which was, it was like a half an acre. It was like on a circle. So that would have made for 2 houses. It was like back then it was a lot. That was $50 for that only mow. I thought it was a lot.
So 50 to mow it?
No, $50 to mow that half. It was like half an acre. Uh-huh. I was in a circle. Plus these two, I was like, I'm set on. I got $100 now. That's
Okay.
what I needed.
Yeah.
I do little things here and there. I know I'll make the rest of the money. And that's exactly how it started. So going from that one, and then I forgot I have one here in Richardson, one house. So that's how I make it all worth it, because I have one house here in Richardson on the east side.
So you have 4 right now.
I have then 4.
Okay.
So that's how I make my numbers. Like, this is all I needed, and really that's all I wanted. I didn't
You're
want.
doing it in the weekend.
I was doing it
Still
on
have your
the.
job.
I was still working 5 days a week,
Uh-huh.
the city Mesquite, and then working on Saturday. I was done probably about 3-4, because I was always doing it really detailed. That
Right.
also helped. I was really spending money because I didn't. Time. I didn't want to go back home because I was sadly just got divorced, and I had my daughter going on the weekends over the mom, so I didn't know, because she was living with me during the week, so I didn't know what to do with myself.
Right.
I was like, well, I'm going to work. Let's just spend the Saturday working. And so I was taking a real long time on every little property that I was in. Those houses are really small. So I was taking all the time I could. I was just doing everything really perfect.
And it's just you.
It was just me,
Okay.
because, it wasn't enough to pay somebody else.
Right.
Because remember, back then I was making $125 in like a half a day. It was a half a day, but I was taking like to 3-4 o'clock.
Sure.
So it was more than I was making at the city back then. So I'm talking, this is almost 20 years ago. So I was like, man, I'm fine. I'm be fine. I had just bought a brand new truck. So all I needed was the payment of the truck.
Are they paying you in cash at this time?
Oh yeah, here all these people was paying cash money. So I was like, oh, this is the payment. And
Okay.
that's exactly what it was.
Right.
The payment of the truck.
And before then, you never thought about opening your own business?
No, never did. Honestly, I would say yes. I had this dream.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I didn't went to school. I didn't even speak good English when I started at the city of Mesquite. And then I was working with people that only speak English. So I kind of picked it up from there, I guess.
Yeah.
And then reading and writing more and more and more, because trying to get the test and trying to get to these classes.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing a little bit better on that part. So the time keep going by. Once my daughter started going to kindergarten and reading, so I kind of learned with her how to read.
Right.
Because she was more reading than writing, honestly. And then I started getting easier as the time would go by. And then this happened, so I was able to communicate. So everything that happened at that city, Mesquite, happened for a reason. Because I
Right.
got trained. In the meantime, I was learning English at the same time.
Sure.
So, and then my daughter started because then now I had some people start asking me like that. One of the person, yes, you do it, but if you give me like a receipt. So back then it was no internet, no emails that I send you now
Right.
with an estimate or with a nice invoice. So I had to write it all down.
Right.
So I was like, there was no Google Translate to write it down. Like, we took out 2 shrubs and plant, whatever, or we mow how many times. So, I asked my daughter some parts of it, and then I started like learning their words. I write them down on a notebook, and that's how everything started. Really, literally. So I knew how to talk or speak English, but I didn't know how to write some of the words.
Yeah.
And then it went literally from there. I didn't dream I never had the dream of that, like having a business. But honestly, everything happened just by itself. I didn't really wanted to have a business. My goal was to work 21 years at the city of Mesquite. They had TMRS.
What's that?
I think its name is Texas Municipal Retirement.
Oh, it's like a pension?
Yes.
Okay.
So they give you $2 for one. So I was like, by the time I retire, they give me like 80% of what I was making. I said, then I'll start some little mowing here and there, little landscaping here
Sure.
and there. That was my plan. I didn't want to do anything else. I didn't want to work super hard. I didn't want to struggle anything. I didn't want all the pain that comes with having a business. But everything started happening on the weekend. At one point, we started doing the weekend, and then all of a sudden, like 4 months into it, I needed a helper.
Because you're getting more customers.
Because I was getting more customers. So
How many customers did you have?
right now, back when I started with 3 over there, and 1 here was 4. And then the neighbor of one of the customers in Richardson asked me, so that was 6, but I still wasn't enough to have a helper, so I was working out more late.
Right.
So now I was doing it more just the work that I needed to do because I needed to catch up, and then I kept somebody else recommend me, word of mouth, was still there in Savannah. So they recommend me, so I got the next door, and then the other guy, and then the other guy, and then I hire the helper, and then.
How many customers did you have when you hired the helper?
I think I had 10.
Okay.
Because the other
That was
part
too
of
much.
well, the other and the other part was like I was like I said, it was never for a profit.
Yeah.
Like, well, just the truck payment. And I was like, well, I can share the other $100 with him, but back then it was more than enough. So I got me one helper, which back then was my brother was helping me. Now he has his own business, and then was my cousins like, hey, you want to go work? And then they'll go. And then when we wanted to, if it was like a family reunion, whatever, I would take two. Don't matter that I wasn't going to make not money, but I would take two helpers to finish up early.
Right.
But then it's keep adding up. When I have one every weekend, and then two every weekend, like in the same summer. It was just right at the same summer. It was months later. So at this time, I had like almost 18, 19 properties to have to mow and edge, weed eat, blow. And then that jumped from people start asking for plants.
So you have 18 regular customers.
And that first summer.
Wow. And then they're asking for more stuff.
For more stuff, the trimming, the grass,
Right.
adding up a bed. Most of those houses were brand new. So really didn't need like to do new stuff, but maybe adding up stuff. So the landscaping started being asked. They started asking me for landscaping, and had to start working like on Sundays. So then the next summer was Saturday and Sunday, but I had 3 helpers.
So you're still working in Mesquite?
It's still working all this time with the Mesquite. All this time I did it for 7 years.
When are you resting?
In the wintertime. In the wintertime, I was always wondering. As soon as it started cooling off, I was like, hey, this is good, my vacation coming.
Right.
And it was good. All this time was good. The second summer, I had 3 people in each truck for Saturday, and then the next day I took 2 guys on Sundays to come and do landscaping, literally, and maybe fertilize or apply for herbicides that I needed to apply. So I always was something out from March all the way to October, November. I was like always going for 7 years. I did that, and then it went from again more and more helpers because then I was running 2 trucks on the weekend for 2 days.
So you had to buy another truck?
No, my dad was helping me with his truck, and on the Saturday, and then I was going on my truck on Sunday just with another guy or 2 guys, and then it was 3 guys, and he was sending off. I was having a lot of customers just in that area mainly, and then jumped to Frisco, and people keep recommending me. Right. For the friend to the friend to the friend to the friend and family, somebody moving from another state that would recommend me. So everything started to get a little bit.
So when did you realize, okay, I gotta do this for real?
Never. The thing was that City Mesquite, they had cut off all the overtime, and they were letting me come in early so I could get off on Fridays, like around 12.
Okay.
So I was working like 11 hours or 10 hours, so I can only make 40 hours a week. So I was working during the other 4 days 9 hours and stuff, so I only had to come on Fridays for like 4 or 5 hours and then clock in and then leave. So I would go and start doing my getting prep, buying plants or going to work, and then all of a sudden they wanted me to do overtime. So this time I was opportunity to become a supervisor. I didn't want to take them anymore because I was making more money doing this on the side than whatever even a supervisor position was going to pay me. And then by taking a supervisor position, they would make me come and work on call. So I didn't want that, so I just walk away from that. So all of a sudden they told me no more coming early. You got to come at regular time. So they took my Friday that I was off. So I was like, I accommodate on my schedules. Then all of a sudden, like, to answer your question, they told me that I needed to come and start doing coming really early and come even on Saturdays. I said no, I can't.
Right.
I was like, and they put me in the spot. Really, they that supervisor make me quit, literally. Oh, well, resign. So I called again, but this time John Carswell he already had resigned and went and worked for the private sector. I called him, and he goes like, "Man, leave. You already got." I told him exactly. He has always known about my business and helped me out with a lot. So I was like, whatever he says, that's going to be my cue. So I call my brother. I call people like, well, I got like $3,000 in case you quit. Talk to my now wife. By then I already got married again. And then she goes, I support you, whatever you want to do. I struggle, whatever we got to struggle. So I was like, okay, as long as you fine, I'm fine.
Yep.
So I was like, okay. Or I had to leave all this. Either I stay at the city and leave all this side gig that I had.
Right.
Or leave the city. And he told me they want me to come in, work, because they have just acquired back some golf course they had. And I was the only spray, I was the spray tech. Mm-hmm. And then that happened. They forced me. I came before they say you do it or we'll fire you. And then we have a meeting at the city hall, and then it was just a threat, but it wasn't true. But I already had my letter of resignation. I had already called customers that I said no, bring it all back. I had all the plan. I called my brother-in-law, and said, you want to work for me? Because he was helping me then on the weekends. He goes, I quit my other job. I said, but I only got 3 days, full 3 days. Because I can find me two other days working somewhere else. And then that exactly happened. When I went there, they said, no, we don't want you to quit. I was like, no, I'm quitting. He goes, how much more money you want? I said, I don't think you can pay me what I'm making. So I was like, no, I'm quitting. Here's my letter. They asked me, they said, don't, it's already 12 years. Why you want to do this? Like, man, you were right, guys already forced me.
What year and date was this?
This is 10 years or 12 years ago.
Okay.
So I don't remember the date exactly, but this is 12 years ago.
Okay.
And then, no, I'm sorry. This past year I would have retired. So about 10 years ago, okay. About 11 years ago. And I just quit, and that's how everything started. Then I'm a DVA. I went to register everything.
Yep. So right when you quit and you're walking out, how do you feel in your brain?
I was scared, really scared, extremely scared. But I always knew that I could, go find another job and keep doing this on the side. So the thing is, back then it was harder to apply. Still, even 10 years ago, I had to do the paper, filling out applications, go and drop them off. I was like, oh man, I was just to this. That's why I always say that City Mesquite was my university.
Yeah.
I always tell people, because they teach me discipline, time, all that. Because I was working also for subcontractors. Some guys like I didn't care about anything. So, and this guys made me be all formal and everything. So I was like, man, I was missing that part. So I applied that in my business. So be on time, have rules, be organized, all these things that they did over there, because this is a government entity. So they have to report back to the budget of the citizens and stuff. Yeah. So I guess that's why they have everything organized. So when I walk out, I was like, cool, but it was right in the middle of August. So it was hot. It wasn't a lot of landscaping happening. Just pretty much Des Moines, but I had already made the numbers. I was barely going to make it with the stuff that I had. I had little savings too that also helped me. I had some, probably I think it was like half a year worth of rent.
Sure.
So that was like back then, whatever that was. And because I remember the months, because I talked to my wife, and I was like, we got the rent half a year. From this point over, if I don't make it, they always gave me the option, you can come back, man. If I was like, I start with whatever the lowest position. I don't care. So if
Yeah.
they don't have my position, I go with whatever else. I call also, like I said, John. He said, okay, I work for this company. If not, I'll hook you up over here. I'm trying to help you. So I was like, okay. So I had those options. My brother was already working on trying to work on his own. He goes, let's see what we can do. I can give you a day or two. So I was like, okay, make the plans and started working little by little. Then this
So you're full time now.
yeah, full time, but then with only 3 days a week.
Okay.
They needed all these 6 guys I was needing on the weekend. I was needed on the weekend, only me and my brother-in-law.
And you can service everybody.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, because now we are doing 8 hours or more.
Right.
When I started, we really were like all the way to 8 p.m. But that was it. That's all you can do. That's all I had.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one, it feels like everything is really slow. The calls that you were getting, 2 calls on the weekend, like new things, you wish there would be 20. Because now you're full time, you got like 2-3 days
Right.
that you can do more.
Right.
So I was like, and then I started getting a little scared. I started knocking literally doors. Hey, we can mow your lawn. Literally, that's what we did. We got to stop in neighborhoods, and we got to find the neighborhoods where there wasn't a lot of people yet. So trying to get ahead of the guys that you see with that's who we were. Me and brother-in-law with a truck.
Yep.
That's it. We had a trailer because I had bought a trailer, but that was it.
And you still had about 20 clients, right?
By then it was but no, I was having the time that I quit. We had 3 days worth of work. We had already like 65.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
we already had like
That's pretty
65.
good.
Yeah, it was pretty good,
Yeah.
but when they make the numbers and everything for 2 guys, it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
It was just barely paying gas, taxes, and things like that, and me and him. So I was just making my paycheck.
Yeah.
But then I got to think about wintertime. There was nothing in wintertime. So that's when that's what kept eating me up throughout the season. Like, why don't we do this winter?
Mm-hmm.
Before I wanted the winter to come, but now I don't even want. I wanted to stay hot.
Keep working. Yeah.
Yeah, so I really honestly, like, I guess usually when I'm scared, I kind of block things up. I don't know what happened. I just remember that I was doing handyman work
Mm-hmm.
on that winter. I would bring my brother-in-law because he had 2 days working at this company, driving to El Paso Monday and Tuesday. He will be back Tuesday night, driving like parts and stuff for this company that my brother still works for. And then he would work the other days for me. And he was just recently married with my sister, so it was tough, even for him. I remember that year, the presents I never knew. I had a few little savings. He said he didn't have money for presents, and I was like, he didn't ever tell me.
Right.
So I was like, so the first year that's when it started getting a little hard. But then we kept keeping up, little by little. It was really not super boom after that. I mean, it felt like it was like going crazy on the weekends. But at the moment that I went full time, it's like nobody cares about me.
Yep.
And then nobody calls me like I thought it literally, looking back, it was just a person every week.
And so that's how you built.
Yeah, person every week. So I wanted to be 5 people every day.
How long did it take before you got comfortable?
It took about probably like 2 years.
Okay.
Until we got like a little bit, until I could hire my brother-in-law like full time. Like, hey, bro, we don't have to worry about it no more. Now we got plenty. And it took about 2 years.
In those 2 years, did you ever think about quitting and getting a job?
No. Because at that point it was it. That's it. Like,
You just couldn't do it.
I have to do it.
Yeah.
When this business, at least that something crazy happened, it's really hard for like all your customers to walk away. They don't. I mean, there's always going to be somebody that's not super happy with the job, and I understand that. There's people that are really super mean that you will never please them. But you don't go to. Usually, I never heard that. I worked for companies who never heard that somebody calls and cancel right after another. So yeah, it feels bad when you lose an account. And I even now, when somebody calls me, I always ask why.
Yeah.
If it's money because they find somebody with a better price, I'm totally fine. But when it's because we did something wrong, like our service is bad, it eats me up.
Right.
Like I cannot. That's if like somebody took my entire business away. Like I get aggravated by that.
Yeah.
Because we should be doing. I always tell my guys it's a service. It's like when we go to the barber. Go to the barber. I want my beard to be lined up perfectly fine.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna do it better than the barber, I don't go to the barber.
Right.
That's why I don't let nobody touch my beard in the barber because I can do it better than they do. But that's why exactly what I tell them. But it took 2 years, and then we started keep hiring people, and then I started thinking about we have to keep. I always have the mentality. They always like, have clothes with a brand. The trucks, I started buying trucks just white, so it looks professional.
Right. You started acting like a real company.
Yeah, everybody thought we were like, like a company, but we really were like me and my brother and 2 more guys. By then, it was already 4 guys.
Yeah.
Crew, and then which some of those guys are still working for me. So we were like hanging out. Then it became fun because they became my friends.
Right.
So it was like always working with your best friends. But it was hard. It was hard at the beginning. Never thought of quitting. Never got too ugly where you said no more. Mm-hmm. Really, it's just this type of business is the business that little by little, if you do good work, will keep growing.
Right.
Slowly. I used to worry about competition. Like guys they started like me, but most of those guys and most of the people that start with, they don't have as much as knowledge. The big companies does. That's why the big ones. I'm a small thing, but the knowledge of the stuff it gets you. That's why it has helped me really to compete with the monsters companies that we have in this business. We've got companies that I do some subcontract work for a huge company. It's a big company. But having the knowledge that helps, and that's why it helped us. Really, the knowledge that I acquired at the City of Mesquite, all the classes, the knowledge about plants, what happens, why this is not looking good, how much water that I need to do when people ask you, and then that's how they also recommend.
So most of your clients came from word of mouth, though. Not
100%.
Did you do any
advertisement,
paid advertising, all that stuff?
No, really never have. Well, like I said, a little bit. It's like, I don't know, the lowest on Google one time. I don't remember when I had the website, invest in the website. Mm-hmm. Never got nothing extraordinary out of it, except for like what we were talking at the beginning, strange calls, bad customers.
Sure.
I just called the guy and said, it was up for maintenance. I called him up and said, do me a favor, can you just close it all up? I don't want to have nothing. So
the best customers, word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
Talking about you.
Word of mouth, and now with the next door and all the social medias and stuff like that, the groups on neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Somebody wants somebody to come in. And most of my business is, with regular customers. I do got like a one builder, but it's almost nothing. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's mainly friend with a friend, a worker somebody that works for somebody that have some commercial building or whatever. That's how they recommend us.
Do you do mostly residential or do you do commercial stuff?
No, I do commercial, but I'll say maybe 80% residential.
Okay.
That's what I have. I don't mind.
How many employees do you have now?
Right now we are 11.
11?
Yeah.
Okay. And just so people can see, on average, what's your yearly revenue, you think?
I think it was like 900.
Okay.
This is the total amount without taking everything.
So you're almost at $1 million, but you started with just one person.
I started one person. Yeah. Literally, my savings really didn't invest much. It's like total number that I invest right at the beginning was like $600 because I needed to buy a mower to mow my dad's lawn.
Sure.
So
you started one more.
One more, one of everything, and my personal truck.
Right.
And then from that point, it went just like now buy more vehicles. We are in the midst of buying a truck right now.
Okay.
So it's just never stops. It's just never stops.
Do you also have like office workers helping you?
No.
That's
The only people that helps me is my wife.
Okay.
She literally is the one that takes all the office work.
Sure.
But I do a lot too. I
Right.
do because I don't know. I don't think I have enough office work for somebody to be sitting 5 days a week.
Right.
I can do a lot of it, which I hate. The office that's not what I started for. Like really
Right.
don't like it at all. But I have to. And then the stuff that my wife had to sit me down like, hey, this is what's going on. We got to do this, that. Also, I got a CPA to help us with the stuff that I don't know.
Yeah.
The taxes and stuff like
So
that.
what's your regular day like now? So you wake up in the morning. What
I wake
happens?
up 4:50 in the morning, and then I usually prep the things that we're gonna do next morning,
Mhm.
the day before. Like I'm always like 2-3 days ahead,
Okay.
and sometimes in notes, and then I just go back and check exactly what I thought I was gonna do that day, and start printing schedules out. Some stuff is already well set. Just got to get the schedule out. It's a little bitty change on some trucks, but the part that is more like challenging is like the landscaping. We got to pick up shrubs. We got to pick up rock. We got to pick up stone. We have to check, make sure. But I prepare that before. Like I over probably work. I shouldn't, but it's efficient where I can. Literally, the reason I do it is that way I can pay my workers better, and have a little bit more extra money by me not having like a supervisor.
Right.
Like most of the companies my size already have like a supervisor guy that runs around, and the boss man kind of oversees more of the books, the money, the things like that, more calls.
Mhm.
But I do both. So I go out, I get everybody situated, where we going. They give me a feedback. Hey, days we didn't do this because it was happening here. Something happened at this house. Or if it's the landscaping, I got to make sure I go back and check all the irrigations, make sure nothing broke, make sure it's watering, which is no part most of the time of my work. Like we do the landscaping if we know I'm not involved in irrigation. But it's like a part of me that I wouldn't be able to sleep. I don't want people to lose their money.
Yeah.
So I usually even offer myself to go and check their irrigation box.
So
make sure it's
you're
working.
not doing any of the work anymore. You're more the organizer or supervisor now.
Yeah, no, physically work. I don't do a lot, not like I was. Like I don't go out and mow with the guys. And I haven't mowed with. Well, no, actually last weekend.
Okay.
I went but it was a huge property. I had to be there. It was far away. It was a customer. His mother's. It's a ranch. So they wanted to fix it all up. So I was like, man, I'm going to drive an hour and come back an hour. And then I have to go check.
Yeah.
So I stayed.
Okay.
And it was one of the funnest days I had this year. Because I like to work.
Yeah.
But usually I can't. I mean, even if I want to, I wish I could go and work with them. Because I love it. I love mowing more than digging ditches.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't. So if I sit with them, I lose the rest of the day. I'll be finished. No, I would never finish.
Right.
Because I go and check properties. I check. Now we have got high-end customers too, like big houses that we got to check the water, make sure everything is, what a supervisor will do, like
Right.
check the waters, make sure everything is running, walk the properties, things like that. So now either I go and work or I do this other stuff. Irrigation repairs, the smallest I do, smaller ones. Plants repairs, like if it's one shrub, I repair it myself. I go and put it in, like like little warranties that I can do by myself if it's not a huge plant. Mainly that. One day I'll go and give estimates in the midst of it.
Right.
You saw me, I'm all muddy. I was giving an estimate, but I also had to walk down in another property to fix a leak, 2 leaks that they have.
Sure.
So I kind of plan my day where I can start doing like estimates after 12, and before that I run around, do my runarounds and everything I got to check, and then I get my. Sometimes it takes an hour, sometimes it takes 10 minutes, sometimes it takes 2 hours.
Right.
And mainly the estimates are for landscaping. Have to talk to them, get their feedback, what they want. But that's my day, like every day. Like I'm always busy. Like from the day starts to the, I can stay out there till 8 if I wanted to.
How many new customers are calling you every week?
Well,
or new folks?
there's it's mainly on the landscaping side.
Okay.
That is, on the busiest time, I don't know, 10, 12 calls a day, 15. Doesn't mean that I land every single one of them, but you have to get out there. You have to write their estimates, the things that I hate the most.
And they're all finding you from word of mouth.
Word of mouth. Everybody is my cousin next door, my neighbor, things of my mother, my father, all that family related or friends related or neighborhood related.
I mean, that just means you guys are doing good.
Yeah. Well, you have to provide that service.
Because the companies that don't get a lot of referrals, they have to use Google and advertising.
I guess, and thankfully, well, I don't know. I most of the people, like, for instance, I got really popular in your neighborhood because I helped one customer, and when I say help, it's like I direct her, and maybe people's gonna see this video like, man, you're dumb. I probably am.
Yeah.
She wanted to tear up everything, but it was a way out. It was just something to get fixed, and we fixed it. She was happy, and she just recommended me. Last year, I was like, I'm doing 2 landscaping jobs in your neighborhood per week, and I'm talking like the whole thing.
Yeah.
This one, it's just better money there, and I was always trying to stay within, a regular price. Don't over super price it. Help if I can. I mean, if somebody asks me, can this be fixable? If it is fixable, like most of the people were telling me, the people constantly were like, no, you got to redo the whole front, whole grass. No, why don't we just patch it? That's how I came to you.
Yeah.
Let's just patch the area. If you don't want to change everything, but there's people who goes like, no, I feel like changing that. Perfect. That's as long as I give you my information. They wanted to spend the money. I don't mind, but at least they know.
Then I think I'm a weird one because I found you from your website.
Did you?
Yeah, I did not find you from word of mouth. I was just searching, and then your website came along. I was like, what's this brothers? Okay, I'll just try it. So it was complete, random.
Yeah, no, I don't use much that.
But you did tell me, like, oh, you don't have to change out all the grass. Because we had 2 other lawn companies we used before you. And we changed out the grass, and so it's a lot of money, like, obviously.
Yeah, no. Right back then when I started, it wasn't that expensive. Right now, it's good.
Because I was prepared to change out the grass again, and I was like, oh boy, this is crazy.
And that's probably having become rich because I can go to sleep if I go out there and I know we can just do different way. And yes, it's a business, but I still believe.
Well, on the other hand, if you look at it, we fired the other 2.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying.
So, like, if you keep doing that, eventually they're gonna let you go.
And then I grabbed not only your landscaping part of it, but also your maintenance.
Right.
So I was like, well, which is good though, because for some reason we have lost some. We're doing work for the company that I'll tell you, subcontract, and we lost some of those accounts because that builder moved. He sold the whole company, and it was like quite a few. And we were trying to fill out the spots. And then when we did that, I usually like I didn't know for you, like, you guys do maintenance. Like, yeah, we can do your maintenance. And then we went from there. But because a lot of people think that we don't do maintenance, and a lot of people think that we don't do landscaping. So my oldest neighbor, the customers, I guess, because I didn't have time to do a lot back then, and then they just think I'm just doing maintenance.
Yeah.
And sometimes I come to check something, irrigation, whatever, and I see the landscaping change. I'm like, hey, what happened? Oh, I didn't know you were doing it. I was like, oh no, we do it next time. But no, it happens a lot, especially the really first ones.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's just how it works. I don't advertise.
Yeah.
I don't spend money on that part, except for like shirts or cards that we buy to give away when somebody asks. Rather than that, I don't. My dream was not to knock doors at one point. We don't knock doors anymore.
Yeah.
Thankfully, thank God. But at one point, yeah, the first years we did it. Like when summer started getting no much of a landscape because of the weather, I would put the guys like, hey, let's go knock the horse. No, no, not, but drop the car that you see.
Right.
And believe it or not, a lot of people still kind of works on that instead of going Google. Well, probably the millennials will go in Google, but the older people, like,
Yep.
40 something, 50, they grab the car, text. But I stopped doing that, honestly, probably 10 years ago or 12 years ago. About 10 years ago. Usually work counts, thankfully.
Well, I think you have an amazing story. This is awesome. We've been at this for about an hour. How about we end with this? Like, where do you see yourself in the future? And then any tips and advice for folks on their lawns?
Well, tips on the lawn service or the lawn, just water.
What's the most common mistake you see people
Water.
making? Water.
Water.
Okay.
That's the biggest.
Yeah.
People, I just was on your neighborhood. That customer, she was like I think the guys that do my grass didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
I looked at it like the damage. You can tell the damage from prior year. Like, it's water.
So it's almost like we're fighting the city.
You literally got most of the stuff is water, and most of the stuff because a lot of people think it's bad grass and bad everything, and just water and.
Especially here in Texas, it's so hot, right?
Summer, literally summer. Right. So from this point over, people got just 3 months. People got to be watching it.
Yeah.
They need help to set up their irrigation. Even if they're not my customers, I'm willing to go. Just to see people. Don't see people really, really, really sad about at the end of the summer everything dead. And me looking myself in the future, literally, that's the other thing. And I always tell people. A lot of advertising companies call me and they're like, "No, you don't want to grow." Like.
But you are growing.
I am growing, but I'm not really seeking to grow. I'm happy that where we are, and it might sound, but like you always hear, and people, happiness is different for people.
Yep.
I just literally take care of my guys, take care of my family and my guys. Though that's one thing for whoever. There's always good people out there. It's hard to find them, but once you got good employees. Literally, I got even now the team that I have now. It's always things little drama here and there, but my main guys are the ones that without them I couldn't grow it. Like when I hardly they gotta hear this, but I never get complaints. Like complaints of bad things. Maybe we break a window here and there, or some truck was planted in the wrong position, but that's like a mistake. But like complaining about, never. And I don't tell them this because then they'll get comfortable. But I hope they hear this, they're like, "Oh, you players!" But because they care, you take care of them, they take care of you, and that's the only reason I'm still here. Otherwise, I got offers to work in companies making as much as I'm making as a business owner because really. I wish I would make all the money for myself that I make on the books, but literally, you don't make like that the entire thing. But it's a happiness to have your own business. It's really hard. It's a lot of struggle sometimes, but it's like I said, the people. See myself, I don't know, have my guys taking care of them when they get older and look back and laugh at things.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I think that's a perfect place to end then.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Robert, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
All right. You're welcome.
All right.